Every family has those moments. Awkward silences, passive-aggressive comments, or even direct conflict with in-laws and extended family. And today we're going to dive right into it, because what if God has you in your family on purpose for a purpose? Today we're talking about extended family and how we can encourage you as an extended family member to pour into adult children, grandchildren, cousins, aunts, uncles, and every other relationship in your home. And a little hint for you, it's not about you.
Extended family, we know that's a heavy topic, and we are breaking this episode into two topics. Today is episode 1 of Extended Family. Next week, we'll be diving into episode 2, and you're not going to want to miss it.
Before we dig in, I want to encourage you and welcome you to Family on Purpose. We are here to help you be a family on purpose and to do family on purpose. So we could use your support. Please pray for us, support us, put comments, give us feedback, and give a review on any platform that you're on. That helps us grow this podcast, and we could certainly use your support financially. Ministry costs money, and we are completely a donor-funded ministry trying to make this happen. So we could use your support financially as we expand. And here's what you're supporting. We got a text message from one of our friends the other day, and she said that she, her husband, her daughter, and her daughter's boyfriend were at the table talking about family values and intentionality and how they were supposed to be doing stuff on purpose. So what you are supporting makes a difference in real life families, and we thank you for being along for the ride. Okay, babe, we're diving in. Extended family, you've got them, I've got them, everybody listening has them. Why can it not just be easy and just everybody get along all the time?
I believe it's not always easy because it's the enemy's attack on family. I think that God treasures family. And so why would the enemy not come after what God prizes?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think about it from a value perspective. And I think you're right. I thought about, and we were preparing for this podcast, about Matthew, I think it's Matthew 5, where Jesus says, hey, if you are going to take an offering to the temple and then find that you have something against your brother, I'm guessing that's probably not a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, right? Like, while those things do matter, I don't think that he was talking to young children with family in the home. He was probably talking about an adult child with an adult brother, sibling. Hey, this is how much it matters for families and extended families to have good, close relationships with each other. Okay, so we know it matters to God. What does his word say about extended family? What can we learn from extended family, good and bad, from looking at scripture?
Okay, that is a great question. And that's exactly where I started preparing for this episode, was with the Bible. Hey, where have we seen this go right in God's word? And where have we seen it go wrong? And so right out the gate, first book that we have in our Bible, Genesis, talks about Genesis 6, where Noah and his sons and their wives are working together to build that ark. And so I feel like there's a great example of a family that's on mission together, that has a purpose, that is working together as a team. And so right out of the gate, one of the first families that I see extended family wise working together really well is Noah. And continuing in Genesis, just a few chapters later, is the story of Abram, when Abram, who was Abram at the time before he became Abraham, and Sarai and Lot. In Genesis 13:5, it says, now Lot, who was moving about with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great that they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herders and Lot's. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. Verse 8 says, Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herders and mine, for we are close relatives. Is it not the whole land before you? Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. And the story goes on as we know that Abraham, here's the land that's available. Lot, you take your choice. And I love the parts that stuck out to me were the verse 8, let's not have quarreling between you and me. And for we're close relatives, like we shouldn't be like this. And so I saw Abraham as Lot's uncle protecting that relationship, saying, hey, this is not worth it. I'm not willing to compromise our relationship at the expense of all of this quarreling.
Yeah,
I love
I
that
agree.
he was a protective uncle. And then you also see a heart of generosity towards him because he could have chosen the choice land. And as we see that story play out, that really didn't work out well for Lot because then he's in Sodom, the land of there, and so subjected to that sin there. And then of course we know what became of his wife. And so even from that aspect, you can see greed in Lot, like, oh, this looks good. I'm going to go after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a couple points you brought up. One of them is Abram took humility and gave the favor to Lot. Hey, you choose first and I'll let you choose what you want. Not, I'll choose first and you get the leftovers. Secondly, there, Abram as the uncle, right? He chose the more mature, responsible response and he led well in and through that because he's the adult. He's the older.
Yeah.
One thing that I've got in my notes in here the whole time is when it comes to extended family, so many times I think roles get cloudy or they get reversed and parents forget, like even when there's parent and an adult child, parents forget, hey, you're the parent and you will always be the parent and you always need to act like the parent. That's your role. That's your responsibility. And that's the way that God ordained it. So don't act like a child.
Right.
Don't expect your children to parent you. Don't be the immature one, but be like Abram here.
Right.
Hey, be the adult, be the responsible, be the leader, and choose wisely, humbly, and give favor to Lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was totally generous because he could have played the card, hey, I'm the elder here.
Right. I deserve this. I'm going to take what I want. Yeah.
Right. He did not.
Yep.
So he's very selfless.
Yep. What else do you
Very
have?
selfless.
What else do you have there?
Okay. Of course, we know Jacob and his 12 sons and the whole story of Joseph. So the brothers selling Joseph into slavery. But then, a couple things stick out to me is, yes, they sold Joseph into slavery. And we know that at the end, those boys are coming begging for food because there was famine. And yet Joseph forgave them and they were reconciled to each other. And it's the line that I love of what the enemy meant for evil, God used for good.
Right.
And so he could have had a chip on his shoulder. He could have said, I have suffered. I have been in prison at your hand of what you have done for me. But he did not have bitterness or resentment. He just had such a soft heart to forgive them and to go that extra mile and take care of them. Because I think it's one thing you can say, I forgive you and be done, keep it at arm's length. But no, I'm going to provide for you. Do you want to add anything there before I?
No, I was just curious. Hey, how does that apply to us today? Because I would hope there aren't too many families selling the youngest child into slavery today, right, or getting rid of them or something like that. So how does that play into today? How do we apply that in our lives today? For Joseph, it was his immediate family. How do we do that for our family of origin? How do we do that for our extended family or our in-laws? When I think of that story, I think by the time that Joseph's brothers came to him in Egypt, they all had their own wives and their own children. And so we're not talking, again, young, immediate family. We're talking family of origin. And if you read that story about Joseph and his brothers and all that goes on at his father's house that he wasn't a part of because he was at Potiphar's house or with the Pharaoh at the time, they had some baggage.
Right.
Like those brothers had some stuff going on that was not necessarily cool.
You're right, because you see that in the blessings that Jacob gives to the 12, what they did here on earth, some of their sinful acts, those blessings were withheld. And so how does that work in the extended family? I think when we see the favoritism and when we see the sibling rivalry, that doesn't just stop when you leave the home, when you leave your home of origin. You can still show up at Christmas and feel like there's a favorite child.
Mom's favorite or dad's favorite.
Right, right. Or you still have the jealousy or still have the sibling rivalry. And I think what can we do as extended family members is not play into that. Whether you're the favored child, try to soften it for the others and not parade around.
Well, I agree. And I think that's going to be one of my major themes of today's episode is that, hey, guess what? It's not about you.
Right.
It's not about you. Like if we take Joseph's story and his older brothers, they were frustrated and angry about Joseph, but why? Was it really about Joseph? No, he was kind of annoying and he kept telling these dreams of how you're going to bow down to me and I'm going to rule over you. Yeah, that wasn't unwise, but he's a young kid at that time. Who was it about? It was about their frustration really with their dad. About Jacob, because he favored Joseph, they were mad at their dad and they took it out on Joseph. And so I think we have to remember as adults and everybody listening has to remember that oftentimes what happens with family of origin, what happens with extended family or in-laws probably isn't about you.
Yeah.
It comes out on you. It comes out on us as people, but it's not really about us. It's about our extended family members or our family members of origin. It's about their story. Yeah. And it's about what they're going through. And it's about their woundedness or their brokenness or where they feel insecure or they feel inadequate. Yeah. And it comes out.
Right. And it's easy to take that personal.
Oh, you bet it is. Because it feels personal.
Right.
It feels very personal when it happens to you. Joseph probably took getting sold into slavery personal.
Right.
As well he should.
Right. I agree.
But truth is, it wasn't about him. And it's not about us.
It's true. That's true.
What other stories you got there?
I just have a couple more to share. Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, and I'm just going to read a couple verses from Exodus 18. So, and just to kind of paraphrase it, is Moses is leading the people, and Jethro is off with, the father-in-law is off with Moses' wife and grandson, and then the three of them come to check on Moses. And so Moses is giving them a recap of everything. This is how everything is going down. And in verse 13 of Exodus 18, it says, "The next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, 'What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone as judge while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?' And Moses answers him, 'Because the people are coming to me seeking God's will.' And so in verse 17, Moses' father-in-law, he replies, 'What you're doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen to me and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them their decrees and show them how they are to live, but select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain. Have them set as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens.' And so Moses did everything that Jethro had advised him to do. And so you see this relationship of a father-in-law and a son-in-law, and the father-in-law is giving good advice. He's giving wise counsel, and there's no personal gain there for it. He wasn't using manipulation. Hey, let me tell you to do this in hopes that I'm going to receive from there. He was sincerely watching out for Moses. This isn't good for you. This isn't good for the people. Here's some wise counsel.
Yep. That's good. I like that. What can we extrapolate or what can we take from that today?
I think that parents and in-laws can be wise counsel for their children, for their in-laws. And you can do it in a way that is not manipulative, that is not for personal gain, but you can be a consultant to the in-laws. And as we've talked in previous episodes, the consultant, when do we use a consultant? When does a consultant come on board? When they're asked.
That's right.
And I think that it takes a lot of trust.
I agree. I just wrote that down.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be able to be asked, hey, can you provide me some counsel in this area? Because I'm not going to go around asking for advice for someone who I don't trust, or for someone who hasn't gone out this role well. It's like if someone's broke, I'm not going to be saying, and can you show me how to handle my finances, please?
Right. A buddy of mine said, hey, don't take advice from anybody you're not willing to trade places with.
Oh, that's good.
Right. I imagine, I don't know Moses, but I've read a lot about him. I imagine there was high level of trust because Moses married his daughter. He, I believe, worked for the guy for 40 years. And so there was a long-standing relationship. So by this time, Jethro could speak into Moses to say, hey, look, here's an idea that I think would work well for you. And Moses was probably in a position, he was over 80, so he probably didn't have a hot temper at that point. But Moses was in a position to say, okay, I'll hear and take your advice. And we have a high level of trust, so I know you're looking out for me. And I'm willing to trade places with you because I worked for you in your business for 40 years. You must have some wisdom if you have large flocks and you've raised a great family and all of that. Okay, you must know something and be willing to do something right. I'll take your advice.
That's good. That's good. It makes me think of the story of Ruth and Naomi, because here we see a father-in-law providing good counsel,
right?
In Jethro and Moses. And then on the flip side, you see the devotion of a daughter-in-law to her mother-in-law, Ruth's devotion to leave her people and, I'll leave them, your people are my people, where you stay, I will stay. But in that same token, Naomi's also giving wise counsel to Ruth. Mm-hmm. Hey, when you meet Boaz, do that, lay at his feet, do these things. She provided wise counsel as well. And so it's mother-in-law's doing a great job at that. Father-in-law's doing a great job at that. It can be done.
What's interesting is in all three of your stories so far, I do see a similarity or a thread of Abram did what was best for Lot for no personal gain.
Yeah.
Hey, let's protect the relationship. Yeah. You take your best fields. Mm-hmm. Joseph did what was good for his brothers, and really he had no personal gain at that point. I mean, we're talking when he was second in charge of Egypt, what could they offer him?
Right.
Nothing. And then here, Jethro has no personal gain with Moses, but he's saying, look, you do this because it's good for you, not good for me.
Right.
Is there something we can learn with extended family there?
Absolutely.
Maybe the role or the goal is do something with an earnest and honest heart.
Right.
That you're willing to give of yourself for no personal gain. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to get something out of here. Right. I'm not trying to get Christmas at my house. I'm not trying to get this holiday get my way or like. Yeah. Maybe it's about being earnest and honest and doing what's best for somebody else for the simple sake of doing what's best for them.
Right. Right. That's good.
Oh, Naomi and Ruth, that also the same thread, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's doing it not for her own personal gain.
Right. Yep. She was looking out for Ruth and setting Ruth up to be winsome for Boaz.
Yep.
And you see the devotion of Ruth taking care of Naomi. She's gleaning the fields and bringing back food and sustenance.
That's right.
For Naomi.
Okay, what else do you have?
Right. Those are all my Bible stories. And I had just jotted down a little list of, okay, what do I see in these relationships? So I saw protection. Okay. I saw selflessness, reconciliation, teamwork, generosity, wise counsel, protecting the relationship, and forgiveness.
Those are pretty good qualities.
Yeah. Those are good qualities. And I think, when you think of Jacob and his 12 sons, like they all lived together in these tents or whatever. And I used to think about it all the time when I first had the kids and had 2 under 2 and diapers. It's like, man, if it was like those times, surely there was someone around to go, can you hold the baby real quick while I go take a shower? Or can you rock them? Or I'm not feeling well. There's something so beautiful about the support of an extended family. And so each of these stories that we related to were supportive. They had the support. And I think it's paramount to have a healthy extended family because
Right.
I had read a recent report that 70 to 80% of Americans identify their family as dysfunctional. And that's wild. That's insane to me. But if you look at our list, like if you take the flip side of, hey, these were the positive things. Okay, well, what's the opposite of forgiveness?
Bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness.
Or protecting the relationship.
It's all about me.
Right.
I'm going to get mine. I'm going to take care of number one.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do.
Generosity.
Yeah. Selfishness.
Right.
Yeah. I'm good at this game.
Wise counsel.
Unwise counsel.
Unwise.
Foolishness.
Yes. So I would venture to say that the 70 to 80% of Americans who identify as a dysfunctional family, I would say that they probably have a lot of the opposites of these going on.
Yeah. Foolishness, selfishness.
Right.
Unwise counsel. Yeah. That's good, babe. That's good. It's a good point. So we can let these the positive character qualities run rampant in our home.
Yep.
Build a culture and intentionally focus on these as the theme of how we deal with extended family and in-laws. And when we talk about extended family, who are we talking about?
So I think extended family can be grandparents,
okay,
which would make them parents and also in-laws.
Yep.
You have siblings.
Yep.
You have aunts and uncles. You have cousins. Am I missing out on any?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think about it all the way around. Yeah, it's adult siblings, it's young siblings, it's nieces and nephews going the other way around.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So if we are focused at being a family on purpose, meaning we are purposeful about the culture that we set, the actions we take, how can we apply, let's see here, teamwork, forgiveness, generosity, reconciliation, humility? How do we take that and intentionally focus on those character qualities inside the home?
I think it all wraps up into what you were saying this whole extended family relationship is about, and it's not about you. And so how can we live peaceable with others? How can we do what is right in the eyes of God when everyone else is doing what is wrong? How can we honor God, obey his commands, even when we are mistreated, even when...
Is that even possible?
I think so. It's not easy, but I think when we understand that God is our defender, and we don't have to defend ourselves, but we do have to honor him, I think that we realize it's more important to honor him than it is to avenge ourselves.
But okay, so here's what I've seen. 1, I've been alive. 2, I have friends. And 3, I spent years in the family ministry space. So I've seen good, I've seen bad. And I mean, I've heard about everything in between, and even on the far extremes. The bad, I mean, I've heard about people not talking or avoiding holidays. I've heard about divorces and breakups and just writing people out of the will. It's terrible. It's terrible. And on the bad, let's focus on that, because I think most of us want to hear about the bad. It makes us feel better if somebody else is worse, right?
Right.
Why is it that to do those things, to live peaceable with other people, it's easier to do it with somebody at work. It's easier to do it with a friend that hurts your feelings. It's easier to do it with somebody you know, or at church, or a club, or whatever. But when it comes to family, it just seems like the stakes are higher.
Right.
The emotions are higher, and the reactions and actions are higher. Why is that?
I don't know the answer, the right answer to this, but my answer would be, I would expect family to protect. I would hold my family to a higher standard than I would a coworker at work.
Okay.
Hey, you can be rude, you can be whatever, but I would expect my family protect my heart, protect, me physically, whatever that is. And I think at some portion of everyone's life, you have given your heart to your family in some capacity, where there are many coworkers that will never have a piece of our heart. We might love, hey, I love you because I'm called to love others, but you don't have a piece of me. And so I think that they've had a piece of us and maybe have not tended to us or taken care of us
Sure.
or protected us.
That makes sense. And so if you've given a piece of your heart to somebody inside your family, and I agree with you that at some level, everybody has given a small piece of their heart to their family, then when that heart gets hurt, it hurts, right?
Yeah.
When that heart gets damaged, it hurts compared to, oh no, you're on the outside.
Right.
And so you can't penetrate the walls
Right.
because you're on the outside, not on the inside. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What I've seen, oh man, I could tell you stories about sitting in family meetings with families on ministry and just, it's a disaster. I mean, there's passive aggressive, there's underlying comments, there's all kinds of stuff. And then there's direct disobedience. I've seen people, we were walking families through core value experiences and adult children in their early 20s literally pushed away from the table and just blow up on their dad.
Yeah.
Just lose it. And it wasn't because of that table. It was because of years and years and years of emotions and challenges that have led up to it. I've seen families break down in like screaming fights because they don't feel seen or heard or understood.
Yeah.
And so they feel alone. And I think it's right that they had given their heart and then, wait, you know me and you would still do this to me? It's rough out there.
I have a question. So from your years of ministry, do you feel like there's an underlying theme in the dysfunction that you've seen?
Good question. I would say yes. I think the theme that I have found is that most people's lives revolve around them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the theme.
Yeah.
It's not novel. It's not some new, but hey, my life mostly revolves around me.
Mm-hmm.
Your life mostly revolves around you.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in your family, their life revolves around them.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that to the camera, not to you, Gina. And that doesn't change when the role in the family changes.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody becomes a child to an adult, that doesn't change their life is still about them.
Mm-hmm.
And the parent, the life is still about them. And so I think it goes back to the theme that we see goes well in God's word is humility and unselfishness or selflessness and giving of yourself to others, whether that's your time or your resources or serving. Like I'll think of the flip side here. I'll think about families that I am impressed with, or we have a whole episode called how to build a strong family. And we think about strong families that we know. And some of the things that they do best are they serve each other, they give of their time, they give of their money, they give of themselves to serve and love the other people in their family. Because to Abram's point, hey, let us maintain this relationship at the cost of everything else, not I want everything else at the cost of this relationship.
Right.
And I think it's that selfishness, I want all of this at the cost of the relationship that causes so much strife. It typically, dads, I'm going to pick on you, it typically begins with you. If you care about work, money, sports, fame, friends, activities, stature, all of that stuff at the expense of the family, you will get it at the expense of your family.
That's good.
But if you care about your family and relationships and selflessness and earning trust throughout the years at the expense of all that other stuff, you might just have it both. You might just have it all. Because if family comes first and you recognize, hey, my purpose is to lead and develop the family, well, then everything else can come later and after that. I think about Ray Vander Laan, our favorite, one of our favorite teachers. He talks about the Betav. It's pronounced B-E-T-A, or it's spelled B-E-T-H-A-B. Beth Ab is how we would say it, but in Hebrew it's Betav. And how that it was a patriarchal view. And what you were saying, all the family and extended family lived together, worked together, and there was a leader in charge of it. But that leader's job was not about him.
Right.
He was actually the greatest servant of the whole family, because the only thing or the primary thing on his mind is not, what can I get? It is, how can I make sure that everybody has what they need?
Yeah.
And that was his responsibility. And so when we as a family now have that mentality with our extended family and in-laws, okay, this is not about me.
Yeah.
It's not making sure I get what I need, but how do I make sure that my mom or my dad, how do I make sure that my brother or my sister, how do I make sure that my niece or my nephew have what they need to thrive and succeed in their life? And that doesn't mean it's a sacrifice of me.
Right.
But it could be sacrificial, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm not saying, hey, you don't work so that you can go give all of your time to everybody else. That's irresponsible. But maybe you give up some comfort. Maybe you give up some convenience. Maybe you give up some of yourself so that others can be served long term.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a long answer to a short question.
I think it's a great answer and so helpful. As you're talking, I feel like what you have on either side of a healthy family or a dysfunctional family is selflessness versus selfishness.
Right.
And I think so many times the root of issues in the extended family are because of selfishness, like you were saying in your ministry experience. And so I think, hey, what kind of family do you want to have, and what are you willing to do? Because it's easy to see selflessness rise up. And I think, Derek, to your point of, hey, you as your family, as your role, how can I support my mom or my dad, my sister, my brother, nieces and nephews, and that. I love that idea of servant, having a servant heart. I love the idea of being selfless. But I also think like boundaries are really healthy.
Absolutely.
Because there are some relationships that are just toxic. There are some relationships that you can enable, I want to make sure that my mom or dad has this thing, but maybe they're not helping themselves. And so are you further enabling them?
Yeah. I mean, is that serving, right?
Right. Right.
I think sometimes serving is stepping back. I think sometimes serving is, I'm not going to provide that, or I'm not going to help in that unhealthy thing. I think that can be serving and is.
That's good. That's good.
Well, you say it all the time. Hey, when is love not love? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You want to be so loving, but then it ends up being not loving to them because we've enabled them. And I think regarding like toxic relationships in the family, and if 70 to 80% of Americans are saying that their family is dysfunctional, I'm guessing it's a pretty toxic environment. So there's manipulation that goes on. And I made a little list. There's mental and physical abuse, criticism, gaslighting, control, negativity, wherever it is. And so I think we have to be cautious to partner with the Lord in this. Lord, what is my role in this situation, in this relationship, that we're not being abused, that we're not enabling. And we're definitely saying, don't subject yourself to abuse in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
To protect yourself. We're just saying, here's what we see in extended family. And sadly, a lot of extended family is unhealthy.
Evidently, 70 to 80% dysfunctional, self-identified, which is scary.
It is really scary. Yeah. That only 20 to 30% of the population.
Because if you think about it, like, okay, that's 70 to 80% are dysfunctional in their family of origin. And then they grow up, and those 70 to 80% get married. And now you have dysfunctional on both sides. And then they're dysfunctional inside their family if statistics are correct.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And I think we also have to have the hope of God that while some people can identify with toxic relationships or dysfunctional relationships, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that, because God is a God of redemption.
That's
He's
right.
a God of restoration, and He's our God of hope. And we hear so many stories of, man, like an abusive dad, and then at 60 years old gives his life to Christ and has totally redeemed that family. He's gone back and healed 30, 40 years of wounds and baggage. But God can. And so don't lose hope if you do identify as that dysfunctional family or there's toxic in there. Pray, get on your face, get on your knees, pray for restoration.
Well, and I think you're right, babe. One, God can heal and does heal at any point. Jesus makes new. That's just the way it works. And we pray and we continue, but at the same time, how do we intentionally take efforts inside the home to make things better? Because we can pray, and I believe God does and can and will intervene, that's the word I was looking for, into our situation, but oftentimes he calls us into action as well.
Right.
So what action can we take inside the home? And we can ask the question this way: what are some of the best practices that you've seen in homes or heard of in homes that maybe you can implement, I can implement, and everybody listening can implement inside their homes to be a family on purpose? Hey, God has put our family together purposefully,
right,
and he's put us together to go do something as shared values, shared purpose together in the society, community, or church, wherever it is. How do we actively participate in that?
I love that you mentioned action, because when we go to the scriptures, we find exactly how we should act right there, that we're going to honor people, that we're going to have a compassionate heart. I'm just thinking of even in the New Testament, in Colossians or wherever thinking of Ephesians, James, whoever it is, it is lined out for us how we are to act.
Right.
And
right.
We're going to be slow to anger. We're going to be quick to listen. We're going to be rich in mercy and rich in love. And so I think God's word explicitly shows us how to conduct ourselves through that. And we can't just be hearers of the word, as James tells us, but actually doers. Because a lot of us know the word, and I don't know that a lot of us are acting in the word.
Well, it's difficult. I tell you, it is difficult when emotions are high.
Right.
And with family, an extended family, emotions are usually high because you're carrying these gigantic backpacks of woundedness and brokenness and hurts and faults that it takes a surrender to take the straps of the backpack off and drop it and leave it. It feels vulnerable. It feels dangerous. It feels reckless to say, hey, regardless of what's happened in the past, I'm going to forgive and drop the backpack and move forward towards relationship. And again, to your point, that's not in unhealthy, that's not in abusive or dangerous situations. That's in, we've all gotten hurt. We've all been, somebody said something or done something that's hurt us or offended us. But moving forward with forgiveness and grace. I'll tell you, one of the families that I've seen that has done it so great is we were in Louisiana and we were doing an event with them where they were going through core values and mission statement and stuff. And there was the family that invited us, his parents, his 2 or 3 brothers, her parents, her brother and family, her sister and family, and everybody but I think 2 of them were married and with kids. So it was just this big extended family party all day. And it was both sides, adult siblings, parents, grandparents, and in-laws all together. But they made it work.
Yeah.
And I'm not naive enough to think that there were no hurt feelings or no history or no baggage walking into those doors. But at some point they decided consciously and actively to, hey, I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to have grace and forgiveness because what happened probably wasn't about me.
Right.
And I think as soon as we can learn that as extended family of, hey, your mom's actions, and I'm not pointing at you, babe. This is listeners. I'm blessed with fantastic in-laws. So this is not pointing at you. This is, hey, if you're listening and your mom did something that seemed completely and totally off the rails and hurt your feelings and offended you. And chances are it probably is more about her brokenness, woundedness, and her story than it is about yours.
Yeah. Yep.
And when we can see that, it might not hurt anymore or any less, but we can at least be willing to offer grace because then we have understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is because her dad when she was young, or because her mom when she was young.
Right.
And when we have understanding, then it's easier, I think, to give grace and forgiveness and mercy and to say, I get it. It was just a bad day. You slept 1 hour last night and you're exhausted. That's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And when we can have that long-term perspective, I'm willing to give grace and forgiveness to protect the relationship because I'm not going to hold on to my pride and my offensiveness at the cost of the relationship.
Yep.
Because that is selfishness and it's all about me.
Right.
Make sure you make me happy and then we can have a relationship. It's not the way it works. Yeah. It's not the way it works.
Derek and I are so glad that you joined us for episode 1 of Extended Family. Be sure that you return next week for episode 2, where we dive even deeper into the relationships of extended family.